This is the next flip. It's a 2013 Renault Clio, up for a little under £1,200. On paper, it looks great. It was a category N with not much damage in the pictures, so that meant I definitely had to go take a look.
Right then, so I've just picked up the car now. I took it for a test drive and there were a couple extra noises and scrapes and bumps which weren't in the description, so I was able to use that to knock the price down a bit, which I was happy with. We've got it home now. I'm just going to get it up in the air. We'll go over what's right and what's wrong with it, and then we can make a start on getting it repaired.
So taking a look at the first and most obvious thing, it's the bumper. They've got some tinfoil in the Renault badge, which I appreciate the ingenuity, but it definitely needs to come off and be replaced. Going around to the side of the car now and taking a look at the back, you can see that the spare wheel is in the boot. This is because the spare wheel carrier has broken, causing some of the heat shield to come off and a bit of damage underneath the car.
The latch on the bonnet doesn't really work. Doesn't open when you pull it inside the car. Noisy top mounts. The bonnet doesn't open when I pull the lever. The spare tyre fell off due to a fault with the wheel winch, so it's been kept in the boot, and I think when it fell, it also hit the heat shield, so it's been rattling a bit on startup.
The first thing I wanted to tackle was getting this bumper off, as I picked up a new one already. It was on eBay for a little over £200, but I managed to get it a bit cheaper because I could pick it up as it wasn't too far from me, about an hour's drive. I got it straight in the car, drove back home and started tackling the top of the bumper where the screws were. There was a couple missing due to the cracks from the crash, and then I whipped my way underneath, and there was a bit of a similar story underneath with the under tray being loose and some parts missing from the crash. But it was pretty simple getting the screws off, and then I whipped my way into the wheel arches. Thought it'd be quite easy as I've made some good progress so far. Then I got a snap bolt because it was a little rusted. So moving on to the other side, hit with the same story, another snap bolt. So that definitely meant I had to go to Screwfix. Armed with a couple nuts and bolts and some WD-40, I thought I'd get straight back into it. Right, so the old bumper's now off. It's just behind me, yeah. It's a bit of a nightmare trying to get the bumper off because of there were a lot of cable ties on the old bumper from the crash, and we've got the new one on just here. So the new bumper's now on. It's got the lights in it. It's got a few scratches from it, but nice second-hand bumper to replace the old one, and it seems to be a lot better now, and the fitment is pretty good. So what I need to do now with the new bumper on is adjust the bonnet hinges. The bonnet was obviously damaged in the crash, and they've replaced the hinges, so I just need to spend some time adjusting those, make sure that fits right, and then the alignment with the bumper is good. This is a quick clip of the half an hour it took me to adjust the bonnet. I want to say there was technique, but it was a lot of loosening the bolts, moving the bonnet, readjusting, seeing if it would catch, release, everything in between, and eventually we got there. It's taken a lot of adjusting, but we finally got the panels right. On that side looks good. Pretty good on that side as well. And still latches as well. Now with all that adjustment and the lines looking pretty good, if I pull the latch, it opens perfectly as well. Next job on the car is probably the most important. It was causing the most amount of noise and issues, and it was one of the reasons I was able to get the price down. It's the top mount. So I started underneath the car in the wheel arch, just undoing the pinch bolts for the mount, as well as doing the drop links. And while I was in there, I realized that the boot on this near side drop link had perished. So I went ahead and changed that anyways, and I bought the two of them, so I replaced the other side as well. Next, I worked on top of the car, undoing the plastic trim and taking the wiper blades off, just so I could take away all the soundproofing and the trim surrounding the top of the engine and the top mount. I was able to then get hold of the top mount bolts, and then I was able to pull out the whole strut assembly through the wheel arch. After replacing the top mounts with a new set and new drop links as well, it was just a reverse for taking them out, putting them back in, attaching the nuts up top so they'd stay in, the strut in, getting the pinch bolts in, attaching everything back up, brake wire harnesses and clips, and make sure they're all torqued in. The next thing I wanted to tackle was the spare wheel so that I could take the car out for a drive and make sure that the top mounts were now better and performing with no noise. What this clip shows is the hour or two I spent on trying to pull up the wheel winch, watching videos, jacking it up, trying to get it to align properly, with no result. I thought I was doing something wrong because the amount of videos I watched were very easy and it should just be pretty simple. What I soon realized was that the wheel, when it had come off, had bent part of the underneath of the car, meaning that it couldn't latch on properly. So at one point I did get it almost latched, but I realized it wouldn't be safe, and I don't think I could sell the car in that manner, as I believe it would come apart. So my decision was to just leave the spare wheel in the boot and sell it as is. While I was under the car trying to sort the spare wheel, I realised that one of the exhaust hangers was quite deteriorated, so I thought that must be the cause of the exhaust rattle against the heat shield, so I decided to replace that and get a new one. After getting the old exhaust hanger off, it was a bit of a wrestle, but we managed to get it off by wiggling it and using some brute force, and then I was able to get the new one on by just spraying a bit of WD-40 on there to lubricate it and squeezing it on just to make sure it sat in place right. Now that I was happy with how the exhaust hanger was fitting, I just had to reattach this one bolt and make sure that it was all snug up and the exhaust wasn't moving as much as it was before.
A minor mod I've picked up as well is a new gear knob. It's a little bit of an upgrade from the older one, but the older one is quite wrecked at the moment. Here's the old one compared to the new one. I think it fits in well with the car quite nicely, so it's a little bit of an upgrade. So to change this over, just need to loosen this up a bit here. Classic trim. Need to take off this band here. Then I need to take this top bit off as well. There we go. And then need to compress this with some pliers and it should come off then. Turns out getting this gear knob off is a lot harder than it seems, and multiple YouTube videos have all gone the same route of just cutting it to pieces and then ripping it off. So now armed with Stanley and a few different pliers, so we're going to see if we can get it off now. This is the current update. I've started ripping chunks of the rubber off and we've kind of peeled it halfway there, so I'm just going to try and cut down this line further and see if we can release the pressure and get it off now. And just like that, after 2 days of cutting and pulling, we got it off. Let's hope the new one fits. I've checked over this little sleeve and it seems to be in good nick. Haven't managed to cut it or break it, so we should be able to just pop this new one straight on top of it. There we are. It's on. Definitely going to need 2 hands for this one. Now that's back on. You can just pull the boot back down. Push it back into place. Here. Now we have a new gear knob, which is a little bit of an upgrade from the old one. So with the new gear knob now installed and the top mount, I wanted to take the car for a quick drive, but I realised I've killed the battery doing all the work, so got to give it a quick jump start now, and then we're going to take it on its first drives and sort in the exhaust rattle, top mounts, new gear knob, everything, see if it drives well, any noises we'll pick up. Straight away from driving the car, I noticed that the exhaust rattle was still there, so with the engine running, I went underneath and noticed that it was loose going from the pipe into the back box. Instead of buying a whole new exhaust system or from the rear backwards, I thought I'd give it a go at just repairing it and hopefully stopping the rattle. The first process was to clean the area and just make sure I could get a good mating surface, and then I got some exhaust paste and covered the area. It may not be pretty, but I used a lot of it just to make sure that there was going to be no rattles and no leaks coming from it in the future. As well as the paste, I put on an exhaust clamp and make sure that was tightened down correctly. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any issues coming from it in the future, so I could get this all solved and move on to the next stage. I left the paste on for about 48 hours just to make sure it could properly cure, and when I started the engine up, gave it a few revs, it seemed to have solved the problems. I took it for a drive and made sure that there was no rattle anymore. So with all the work done to it now, I've just picked up the car from its MOT. Luckily it says passed. There are a couple of advisories on it. With the near side tyre, it's got some cracking in it, and it's also got a nail in it, which I didn't realise. So I think I'll get that changed. And also while driving the car down to its MOT, I realised the tracking's a little off. So I'm going to take it somewhere, get the tyre done and the tracking at the same point, and then that'll be basically done. So I'll give it a little clean as well, and then it'll be ready to list and sell.
Now that the car had a fresh MOT on it, it was time to give it a little clean because it was coming to the end of the build. So I made sure that I could get it nice and clean, ready to take some pictures and to put it online. Once I was done there, I got all the pictures and videos ready to show you guys.
So it's been a few weeks since that last clip of me cleaning the car, and that's because once I'd cleaned all the car inside and out, I thought I'd take it for a little test drive, make sure everything was running right before listing it. And on the test drive I realised there was a little bit of a squeak going on. It wasn't too noticeable at the first, but then it started getting worse and worse, and I diagnosed it as the anti-roll bar bushes. The anti-roll bar bushes on this car were only cheap. I bought them for £5 or £6, and I thought they would be quite an easy fix because I could see them and get to them. I realised that wasn't the case. So in the end, I had to drop the whole subframe, steering rack and all, just to replace them. I didn't record much of this. I've got a little clip I'll put on the screen now. And this was a longer process. I had to do it after work in the dark, in the cold and rain. So it took a lot for me to do it, and I wasn't able to record as much. But we eventually got those done. I took the car for a long test drive and it was all working perfectly. Once I was happy with the car, it's all clean, I went down, took a load of pictures, and I listed it straight on Facebook. So I listed the car for a little under £2,499. I had a couple messages and interest straight away, but it took about a week for someone to come out and see the car. They came out, they viewed it, they really liked the car, they were looking for it for themselves, and we did a bit of negotiation and eventually sold the car for £2,300. Adding up all the costs now, I bought the car for £850. I bought the second-hand bumper for £232, then all the other little parts such as the top mounts, the drop links, the clips, the gear knob, those came to a total of £138.50, and then the MOT, tyres and tracking was £140, so that meant a total profit of £939.50. So it was a great profit to have for my first flip. I'm really happy with it. So it just means I can put that all towards the next project, and we'll see how many we can go with from there.